Hey everyone, in a absolutely wild turn of events, the patch notes for Marvel Snap's OTA tomorrow have been leaked, and so here we are discussing them right now because, we gotta strike when the iron's hot, as they like to say. Now, what I will tell you is that this was unexpected, not sure how the leak happened, but here we are. It seems like every single OTA just gets leaked in advance. So usually I have like the PowerPoint set up and everything. In this case, let's just straight up go right from the official Discord and discuss it. It's a good opportunity for you to kind of give me your feedback in the comments, and for you, of course, to get my insight into it as well. So right off the top here, we do have Angela. This is a significant nerf to Angela. Angela going from a 2-0 that gains +2 power to a 2-3 that gains +1 power. Now, this is a lot stronger than the... I don't know if you guys can hear all the yelling, but as you can see, this kind of caught me by surprise, so I'm on dad duty here. But this is a much more low-key nerf to Angela than it was prior. Like, Angela got completely wiped out before. We want Angela to be relevant, right? Especially with Thena now in the mix. Now, it's very notable that Thena's not getting touched, and Thena is a major culprit of power when it comes to the amount of power those Kitty Pryde, Angela, and Thena decks are putting out. I'll let you guys discuss in the comments as to perhaps why Thena might have dodged the nerf bullet there. But anyways, Angela getting brought down does make sense. Those decks are very, very high performing. And as they do mention in the developer note, in a whole number of different shells they're performing as well. So kind of like the package, kind of like what the old Annihilus package was, just put Annihilus, Sentry, and Void, the Hood, into something, and just put it into anything and it'll just work, right? So Angela, Kitty, and Thena were kind of feeling that as well. And don't forget, also Bloodstone. We go to the next change, and this is Hercules going to a 3-4 from a 4-7. Now, it's actually hilarious, and they do mention it in the note here that when Hercules first came out, it was a 1-star card, absolutely terrible. I believe it released as was it a 4-5 or 4-6? I don't even remember now. It's been so irrelevant for so long. It got buffed almost right away. And then it kind of just stood there and languished, and move didn't really feel that much better to play. So Hercules going down to a 3-4 is pretty meaningful because there's a lot of cards that benefit from that type of curve. Namely, you can play Hercules on turn 3, and then turn 4 you can reserve for a who's the guy that punches? Iron Fist and the... oh my god, I'm like forgetting the name of these cards. I almost never play them. And the Vulture. So you Iron Fist and then Vulture. You can punch Vulture into the Hercules, and Hercules will kick the Vulture out, right? Almost immediately. Which is pretty damn cool. That's some combo play that I think that, move players are going to really appreciate. So seeing this change, I think, is really important. Hercules is a 3-4, I think, is a pretty good spot. It gives move another major kind of weapon, and that's not the end for move as well. We also have Kingpin coming in as well. Now, this is being changed. This is a significant change going from a 2-3 to a 1-2. I think the idea here is like you could Kingpin and then Arrow on turn 6, for instance. It allows it to slide into curves more effectively. Most notably, though, it's still doing a -2 power effect. So while it is a 1-2 body, its ability to be a 1-4 is almost guaranteed if you're building a deck around Kingpin. It can be a, I don't want to say carry card, but if you play it as a 1-drop, it can outperform statistically much like that of a Nebula. Nebula always kind of exceeds that and also provides the control-based element. What I meant to say is, like, Nebula, you don't expect to just be a low-powered 1-drop. You expect it to scale effectively. Kingpin's going to be the same. You're going to expect it to scale relatively impressively, especially when you start to combo with Spider-Man and others, and hell, even Hercules to some degree, to get some value from there. Miles Morales getting a buff as well, going to a 4-6. Now, this is key because it's kind of felt like Miles Morales has been power crept the entire time. He was making a lot of decks during the Silky Smooth style meta when Silk was moving and Miles Morales felt like a free play, but his 5 power just didn't feel like enough. At 6, he can generally be a 1-6. That's pretty huge. We're getting closer to like stature lines now, which makes sense, but again, I feel like stature is a higher risk card and much more difficult to pull off, whereas Morales, if you're moving, you're moving. And so Morales is most likely to be able to get, some free treatment. So ultimately, I really do like this change to Morales. He's seen almost no play. And the whole thing is a massive move buff. They're trying to make move meta, obviously. Let's see if it does. I guess I'm going to have to play some move on the next deck video, which will be coming out, I guess, in the next day or two, after the patch notes drop, of course. Well, maybe we'll have to play some move, or maybe we'll play some High Evo, because High Evo getting a significant buff to a 4-6. Notably, High Evo was supposed to always be a 4-6. When he was first data mined, I believe he was supposed to be 4-6, and then prior to the release, he got brought down to 4-4, which was timely because he was one of the most broken archetypes on release. From there, we got a whole bunch of new cards, a whole bunch of new kind of methods to deal with High Evolutionary, and the archetype as a whole has languished. I actually do think that High Evolutionary is pretty good. I think that the cards within those shells are pretty good. I think the synergies are pretty strong. I think the deck as a whole was kind of being slept on, but High Evo did feel like a very we'll say just terrible card, because playing as a 4/4 was like a awful experience as a High Evo player. Now as a 4/6, at least if you're forced to play mode on, like, say a turn 5, so you can float with the Cyclops and, you know, Misty Knight and stuff like that, at least it's 6 power, right? Whereas before it felt super bad to play it as a 4/4. So anyways, this makes sense. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to introduce more active archetypes to the game, right? So you're trying to fix move a little bit, get move a little more popular, and with High Evo, you're trying to give people another reason to play another deck, which takes the meta share, kind of the monotony of playing the ladder, down pretty significantly as more decks are kind of floating in the meta. And finally, not finally actually, we do have another one here. It's just the emotes kind of threw me off for a sec. Nick Fury getting a 1-point buff from a 4/5 to a 4/6. I'll be honest, I almost forgot Nick Fury existed. I used to be an old school Nick Fury believer too. He just languished for so long, and even in like the Loki based shells, he kind of didn't even see use. And so suddenly, like, now you have him. I still think this is enough, really. You could make the argument, because what happened was when Zabu got nerfed, cards like Nick Fury completely died off. Those medium power 4 drops that kind of were underperforming, but maybe could fit a specific archetype, because with Zabu, you could play Nick Fury and Loki. You could actually go into a Nick Fury play on turn 3, Loki on turn 4 with a Kitty Pryde or something like that, and that would make sense. But with this being the way it is, it's like, I just don't know if this pushes it too far. The shield archetype as a whole, like that Devil Dinosaur style archetype, I don't think it's there. I don't think it's enough, but we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic that Nick Fury, no, he's irrelevant still, but I'd like to believe maybe one day we can see him again. This is actually a huge buff, and it's ALIOTH going from a 6/8 to a 6/10 now. Notably, he does no longer like delete the cards, but he removes the text with priority. And I'll tell you, I've been caught by surprise from a few ALIOTH players. So to see that ALIOTH is actually getting buffed surprises me, because I actually think the card is low-key kind of pretty effective. And I mean, I've won games with ALIOTH. People have beat me with ALIOTH. And now at 6/10 power, I think it's legit enough that you're going to be able to use it in a way where, like, you can be pretty confident about the power it's outputting, while perhaps providing the disruption that you're seeking as well. It's also worth noting, we're seeing a lot of Silver Surfer style, you know, Sarah decks that are coming out, those explosive turn 6s. We have the Sasquatch, Hitmonkey style decks. I mean, Hitmonkey's being cut from those decks, but you know what I mean, right? These explosive turn 5 and 6 style decks. I'm so distracted by I don't know what is happening in this other room here. My kids are just yelling at each other apparently. But it's funny for me to see ALIOTH making a comeback here, because this is a lot of power, and I think the effect is still relatively strong. Anyways, guys, just to wrap it up, just so you know, the patch actually goes live tomorrow. Apparently, they got leaked. I don't know how that happened, but so that's why they're releasing the notes now, because everyone's talking about it anyway, so they may as well just, hey guys, this is what's coming tomorrow, despite it all. But I really appreciate you guys. Hit the like button if you haven't already. It really does help support my content tremendously, and we'll see you on that next Marvel Snap video.